بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Today we'll talk about some etiquettes and adab related to the recitation of Al-Quran Al-Karim. We know that Al-Quran Al-Karim is the wahi, the kalamullah, and when we talked about its definition, we said al-muta'abbadu bitilawati. That means that reciting it is a form of worship. At times it's mandatory. As an example, in the salah, so we recite al-Fatiha, we recite surah or two surahs or so on, so or part of the surah. So this recitation, this tilawa, is a must, and it requires all what is needed in the salah. So you have to be facing the qibla, you have to have wudu, you have to cover what has to be covered, because you are in a prayer. But what about reciting the Quran outside the prayer? You entered into the mosque and you carried the copy of Al-Quran Al-Karim. You want to recite. This recitation, is it a must or is it sunnah? It's a sunnah. There is reward for it, and the hadith says that if you recite, then you will be rewarded 10 times for each letter. And the hadith says, I'm not counting alif lam mim, the three huruf muqatta'a, the three disconnected letters at the beginning of Al-Baqarah. He says, I'm not considering it one letter, but rather alif is letter, lam is letter, mim is letter. So but in this nafila, in this mandub, in this recommended tilawa, do we have to meet the prerequisites that are required for the tilawa, which is mandatory, like in the salah? As an example, do you have to face qibla? Do you have to cover the awrah? Do you have to have wudu? One point that is a must in reciting the Quran in this regard is that you should free of anything that requires from the person full ghusl. So if a person is junub or have wet dream or anything of this, then he cannot recite. But does the person have to have wudu? Like the salah, in the salah you have to be free of both al-hadath al-akbar and al-hadath al-asghar. The major incident which requires from you ghusl, and the minor one which requires from you wudu. In the recitation that is considered sunnah, you don't have to have wudu. Although there is one jurist opinion says that you have to have wudu. But actually we have two opinions, and in this regard you follow the opinion that you feel internally that it gives you more comfort. So if you don't see any validity for the opinion that says you don't have to have wudu, then you can recite without wudu. If still you see there is validity for this more than the opinion that says you don't have to have wudu, then you should also have wudu before reading the Quran. Do you have to cover the awrah? As an example, if a sister wants to recite, does she have to put the khimar? Of course, if she is in public, she has to put the khimar. But if she is in her private room with no foreigner and not praying, because if she is reciting as part of the prayer, she has to cover, of course, well, like we know. In this case, if she just wants to recite Quran, she doesn't have to cover her hair. Can the person be reciting Quran while walking or operating a machine or driving? Yes. You don't have to stop your work to recite Quran. You have to stop your work if you have to pray. But now we are not talking about the mandatory recitation. We're talking about a sunnah recitation. So all what you have to do is You have to be free of al-hadath al-akbar, free of that requires ghusl from you, or to another opinion to have wudu. But you can recite while you are facing the qibla, while you are facing the east, while you are facing the west, while you are sitting in your bed in the bedroom, while you are sitting in a chair or in the floor in the masjid. It's up to your convenience, no problem. That's not an issue. One point we need to pay attention to when we recite Al-Quran Kareem is the makharij al-huruf. How do we pronounce the letters? So if we pronounce the letter the as we pronounce the letter z, that's not acceptable. Or dallin, we say it wala zallin, that's not acceptable. A person would say, well, I cannot till you learn this, you know, the speech, this needs some speech training. Until you are trained, you are okay, that's fine, no problem. But you cannot stay with this forever. You need to work on your speech so that you will be really able to pronounce the letters in the right way. Especially if you want to be imam, of course, it is expected to recite properly. And if you read in Surah Al-Fatiha and the mispronunciation of a letter change the full meaning, then the whole salah can be invalid. Now, another point, what about the tartil? What about the tajweed? This is recommended. If you learn it, that's great. But if you cannot learn it, if you don't have time to learn it, then that's fine. But what is more important than the tartil and the tajweed is the makharij al-huruf. How do you pronounce the letters? That's needed. Of course, before you read Al-Quran Al-Kareem, you need to have isti'adah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. And if you read, when you read Quran, seek refuge by Allah and with Allah from the shaitan. That's a must. And finally, the most important thing regarding the etiquettes of reciting Al-Quran Kareem is to establish the right mindset towards Al-Quran. This is most important thing than all other previous things. So if a person is reciting Al-Quran Kareem just for barakah, like a person hanging the Quran in his room as a decoration or as a barakah, that's not acceptable. Al-Quran Kareem is not meant to be a barakah only. Or if a person is reading Al-Quran Kareem only when a person dies, or reading Al-Quran Kareem only in Qur'an Khana for the deceased one, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ بِهِ حَيٍّ. Al-Quran Kareem is meant to be in there, informing us who are still alive, warning us, guiding us. We said many times that the Quran Kareem is meant to be a book of guidance. So this right mindset have to be established. Make sure that you look to Al-Quran Kareem the right way, that we are reading Al-Quran Kareem because it is a book of guidance. Allah is addressing us through Al-Quran Kareem. Allah is not addressing Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam only. Allah is addressing us through Muhammad. So it is an address to us. It is a guidance to us also. It's not just to Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam in the 7th century in Arabia. It's to us till the day of judgment anywhere in the world. So whether you are living in Mecca or you are living in any other place, Al-Quran Kareem is the guidance for you. And this means that Al-Quran Kareem must be looked at as the frame that defines the reference point. This is, I would say, this is the most important feature or element or prerequisite in reciting Al-Quran Kareem. Yani Al-Quran Kareem is communication. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is communicating to us. So if I'm not on the same wavelength, I'm just hearing Al-Quran, I'm not listening to it, I'm not deciding that I'll be guided with it, I'm not looking at Al-Quran Kareem as a book of guidance, then there is no reception. And if there is no reception, there is no attempt to understand. And if there is no attempt to understand, there is no implementation. And this means that we are abandoning one form of abandoning Al-Quran Kareem. So this is very important. The focus should be on this. There are some other areas of focus should be also paid attention to. As an example, if a person doesn't understand Arabic, and mashallah he is hafid, memorizing Al-Quran Kareem, he should also add effort to learn Arabic, to help him in understanding what he is reciting. But even if he doesn't understand Arabic, he should look at Al-Quran Kareem as a source of guidance. Yes, he cannot think about it, but he can ask someone who understands Al-Quran to explain to him this ayah or that ayah, or return to the fiqh or to the hukum shari'i, which is derived from Quran and Sunnah, because the wahi, Quran and Sunnah, is the frame for the fiqh. So if a person is looking at the Quran as the frame and establishing the right mindset, then he can move on after that and reciting Al-Quran Kareem. But if this point is missing, even if he is meeting or she is meeting all other extra requirements for recitation of Quran, I'm afraid that he will not be rewarded for that, because he is missing the most important point in what is needed to recite Al-Quran Kareem. This month is a month of Quran, and we should take advantage of this in order to start looking at Al-Quran Kareem as a book of guidance, meant to be addressing us, to guide us in our life to whatever is best and good for us in this life and in the hereafter. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He will help us in looking to Al-Quran Kareem as such, and to be from among those who will be guided by Al-Quran Kareem. تقبل الله طاعاتكم والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.